Walton Ford, and I'm an artist, and we're in the Musée de la Chasse. It's the very first time I'm exhibiting in France. This is the perfect museum for me. It's a museum devoted to the aristocratic hunting traditions in Europe, going all the way back to the Middle Ages. We have like tapestries, taxidermy, weapons, incredible things here. And what they've allowed me to do, it's the most generous thing ever. In the temporary exhibit, contemporary galleries, we have a small kind of retrospective that drew on my work of the last 15 years or so, 20 years. And so we have a selection of works down there that just give you a little background of how I go about gathering these stories. And we were lucky to get quite a few that deal directly with French culture that I'd done, so that was very fortunate. And so it's a very good introduction to my work downstairs, and there's about, I think, 8 or 9 pictures that we borrowed back from collectors and have not been seen together like this in quite a while. So this is very nice. And then I made specific about 9 or 10 paintings specifically for the Musée, and just as many drawings, I think. I put my paintings throughout the museum into the permanent collection, and what it's doing is sort of transforming the other paintings and making them a part of my narrative. It's fantastic. So I'm talking about the beast of Gévaudan here in Paris. There were some animal attacks in 18th century France in the south. They were blamed on this beast that became a sort of folklore fantasy beast, an imaginary beast, a supernatural beast, really. It was most likely wolf attacks, and they were brief in duration, but they were pretty intense. And the victims were in the press, at least, always portrayed as shepherd girls, usually with one of their breasts out, being attacked by a beast that was very sexual, long tongue sticking out in a sort of rape position. So I was really interested in these images. I was like, what is going on here? And it's interesting what's going on here because there were many reasons why the beast was created. The aristocrats went down to hunt the beast, and they were interested in exaggerating stories to cover up the fact that they were unable to kill this animal. So it's about a failed aristocratic hunt. Also, the peasants were exaggerating stories to get the right to arm themselves so that they could trap and hunt themselves. So if they appeal to Paris, they have an ulterior motive as well. The press took off and made these lascivious images that I described. So this hysteria was suddenly created around the beast of Gévaudan. And so in this exhibit, I'm so interested in these sort of characters. There's the aristocratic hunter, there's the shepherd girl, there's the beast, and there's the wolf. And all of them have this sort of power, their own different shifting power. So I'm interested in the imagery that shows aristocrats having sex with shepherd girls and milkmaid, and having that kind of power, and it's the very same power they exerted over their hunting grounds. So I'm interested in exploring this, but I'm also interested in the sort of sexualized nature of the fear of nature that was represented by these images of the beast in the popular press. I'm also interested in the fact that a few years after these events in 1763, the peasants rise against the aristocrats, and they're the ones that are attacking. And so in my show, I touch on all of these things. I have the shepherd girl with blood in her hands. I have the aristocrat having his sex with the girl and then falling asleep. I have the beast triumphing over truth. I have many different ways of exploring this issue within this show. It's really been a delight to make. My work got so focused on this natural history question that I only implied human presence in most of my paintings up until now. There was always a human presence in the pictures. It was always a human story being told. I get most of my ideas from things I read. So it's not about going into nature and finding my stories. It's about going into the library or the bookstore and finding my stories, or museums like this. But this story was so much about these characters that I felt I needed to introduce these human figures into the paintings. The point of view is something that I think about a lot. So sometimes my paintings are from an animal point of view, and sometimes they're from a human point of view, and sometimes something in between. And this show, there was so much from the human point of view, so much about human fear, that I felt I needed to have human figures. Exhibiting in a museum, I don't even know how I'm going to have another show after this.